advocates. Okay, well, it's right at 12 o'clock. I will continue to admit people as they come in. Really quick, before I introduce our presenters today, I wanted to just give you a couple of announcements. First, Dana Ward is on here. Dana, wave at everyone. Dana has taken over recruitment, and she has an info meet today at Grain Theory at 5:30. Go, Dana. And she has one Thursday, and those are on our website, but she will also be, she's shared with you guys before a list of all those things. So if you will please share, if you don't follow us on social media, please do so. And then please like and share those events. The more people we can get the word out to, the more volunteers that we can get. So please share that. If you know someone that would like to join us at Grain Theory today, just email me or Dana, and we'll make sure you have the information to give them. And then next week, we have another Lunch and Learn that will be here in the office. And it is going to be a presentation by our intern, Kimberly Putnam. And it is best practices when dealing with LGBTQ plus youth. So it's some great resources to know how can we make sure that their needs are being met and that we are following best practices when advocating for these youth. So that is next Tuesday. RSVP to Michael. Michael Dean is on here somewhere. Michael, wave. You guys have met Michael. He is our new trainer. And speaking of training, our new class kicks off on March the 23rd. If you know someone that would be a great advocate, reach out to Dana, reach out to Michael, and they are just killing it. And we're really excited about what's going on up here at CASA. So moving forward, Michael will be coordinating these and facilitating these virtual trainings too. But this is the first one since he came on staff. So I'm kind of showing him the ropes. So guys, we are so excited to have you with us today. Most of you have seen or met Drew before. And so Drew has been with BCFS for how many years now, Drew?
About 5 years now.
About 5 years. You saw in the information that Michael sent out that he has been, he's had wide, extensive experience in dealing with youth, from education, from teaching, from being a paraprofessional, an instructor, a director. He has covered it all. And he has worked closely with foster youth in overcoming the obstacles that they face as they age out of care, which is one of the things we really want to focus on. Whoops, sorry. My foot just about caught on fire from my heater. It got a little hot down there. So I'm losing skin there. And then we have Krystal Lopez. Hello, Krystal. And she's going to be the one doing our presentation today. And you see in her bio that she also has extensive experience in working with children in foster care. And one of the things that I loved is that she was a caseworker for DFPS, but she also, sorry, I'm admitting someone. I love the fact that she was a child and family team specialist. So she specialized in working with children and families in collaboration when she was with Sacramento CPS. So that's something, Krystal, I might be visiting with you about in the future, is about maybe some insight you can offer us in working in those collaborative relationships. So welcome to both of you. Thank you for coming. And Krystal, I'm just going to turn this over to you. Guys, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. And I know that probably Drew and Krystal will be doing the presentation, but Drew will probably be monitoring those. I'll be monitoring those as well, and we'll get to your questions as they come up. So Krystal, it's yours. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you for a wonderful introduction. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Krystal, and then my coworker Drew. We're both ETV specialists. Let me share my screen to make sure you can see the PowerPoints. Okay, is everybody able to see that? Okay. Let me move this.
You'll probably, yes, there you go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. Again, so my name's Krystal, and a little bit about my background. As it was mentioned earlier, in Texas, I was a caseworker for Child Protective Services. That was in the beginning of my career, and then from there I moved on to working in the substance abuse field, working with youth, and some of the youth did come from foster care. And then in California, I have experience working as a child and family team specialist, collaborating with Sacramento Child Protective Services. So there, I was basically a outside party that mediated a lot of these meetings. A lot of the times what happens is that a lot of the voices of our youth and families kind of get lost when working with CPS. So my job as a specialist was to make sure, we bring everyone in together, make sure everyone's voice is heard, things like that. So there's a lot of problem solving with that. And but it was a very good experience, making sure, especially with our families and youth in foster care, sometimes, their voices get lost when it comes to working with caseworkers, things like that. So my job was to make sure that their voices are being heard, their needs are being met, and just having everyone on the same page. So it was a really good experience. Also, my coworker Drew is also another ETV specialist, if he wants to talk a little bit about his background.
Yeah, so I've been with BCFS for about 5 years, as I mentioned, and I started out as an aftercare case manager. So I really got a chance to see the issues that our youth are facing as they're aging out of care and moving on to post-secondary education. I moved into this position about 2.5 years ago. And basically what we do now is we go around the state, either virtually or in person, and we talk to anyone and everyone that touches foster care about these benefits. We actually have a statewide webinar on both March 16th and March 23rd. We're going to be talking to most of the ISDs in the state. So if you know of anyone that is in an ISD near you that may want to join, definitely feel free to give me an email and I'll send an invite over. Our position was created about 4 or 5 years ago because a lot of our students just don't know about this information. So definitely feel free to pass on our contacts.
Okay, thank you, Drew. So we're going to go ahead and get started talking about the benefits that our youth have. A lot of the times, they're not aware of these benefits that they have. So me and Drew go around the state of Texas trying to, bring awareness to the benefits that our youth does have. Okay, so the first thing is there is a House Bill number 2537. This went into effect on June 9th, 2017, and it basically requires high schools to inform students coming from foster care about their post-secondary benefits every year. So not all schools know about this. So me and Drew try to, go around to different school districts, spreading this awareness to inform our youth about the benefits that they do have once they do leave high school. The first benefit they have is a Texas tuition and fee waiver. So this is a state law that exempts or waives any tuition and fees at any public state supported colleges or universities for our youth coming from foster care. A little bit about it is that it has to be activated by the age of 25 years old. Once they activate it, they do have it for a lifetime. So they can go to school for the rest of their life once it's activated. There's no age limit to enroll. So if they graduate early from high school at 16 years old or 17, they can go ahead and use this benefit right away. There isn't a limit on credit hours. So we always encourage our youth to take at least one college class, just so they can, lock this benefit in, and that way in the future they decide to come back, this benefit has already been activated, so they still have it once they decide to come back to school. So there's no limit. They can literally take one college course. It does not depend on any GPA. So if they don't do well in the class, it doesn't mean that they lose this benefit. No matter what grade they get, they will always have this benefit. And also, if our youth wants to live out of state but attend a public school in the state of Texas for online classes, they can use this benefit for that. We've had youth live, like, for example, in Florida, but they're attending online classes at UT, and they're using this benefit for that. So here's a list of the eligibility for the tuition and fee waiver. I'm not going to go through each one because it's a long list. It's pretty broad and there's a lot of gray areas. So we always encourage our youth or anybody working with our youth to check with DFPS if they qualify for the tuition and fee waiver. For the most part, if they ever touched foster care, most likely they will qualify for the tuition and fee waiver. I'll give you a few seconds to look over the list. And again, y'all received a copy of this presentation so you can look it over.
So the next benefit we're going to talk about is the Education and Training Voucher. And this is the program that Krystal and myself work for. This benefit is often confused with the tuition waiver. They are two separate benefits, but they can be used simultaneously. The Education and Training Voucher is a little different. It's a federal need-based fund. So students have to exhibit a need in order to qualify for funding. So with ETV, right now, we're providing up to $5,000 per school year to first help pay for any housing or utility responsibilities that a student may have. If the student is maybe going to a public school or a to a private school or a technical vocational school, and they're unable to use their tuition waiver, we have to make sure that those tuition and fees are taken care of first. So once those three bullet points at the top have been taken care of, all of the rest of this funding goes to the student directly. And they can use it for their personal living expenses. They can use it for childcare, books and school supplies. Most of our students will buy a computer or a laptop at some point during their ETV funding. This is a new change that happened maybe about a year and a half ago. Students can only budget for one computer or laptop. So we really want to make sure that they get a quality piece of hardware that's going to last them for a long time. A lot of students will try to kind of go the cheap route on the computer, but it's really important they get one that lasts them a long time because they won't be able to budget for that again while they're being funded. Students can also use the funding for transportation, meaning they can buy a bus pass or they can buy a bicycle. They're not allowed to buy a car with the funding. We just seen so many students go out there, buy the first car that they see, and then that car breaks down and they don't have any transportation and they don't have their funding anymore. So they're not allowed to buy a car. But if a student already has a car, they can use it for car maintenance, car insurance, car registration, things like that. So with ETV, the tuition waiver is pretty broad as far as who will qualify for the tuition waiver. Most students that touch foster care will qualify for that tuition waiver. With ETV, it's a lot less broad. There are a few scenarios where students will qualify for ETV. They have to be at least 16 years old, and they have to either currently be in foster care or extended foster care. They have to have aged out of foster care, or if they were adopted, they would have to be adopted after they turned 16 years old. If a student was adopted even a day before their 16th birthday, they will no longer qualify for ETV. And with ETV, students Students may qualify that are under the custody of the Texas Juvenile Probation Commission. There are youth that are in tribal youth foster care. They may qualify, as well as students classified as unaccompanied refugee minors. With ETV, it can be used for a total of 15 semesters, or it ends the month of a student's 23rd birthday. So it's not a lifetime benefit like that tuition waiver.
Okay, so with ETV, it can help pay for if you have a youth that's taking dual credit classes in high school, they can qualify for ETV. We just tell our youth to keep in mind that ETV is need-based, so there needs to be a need. So when our youth who are still in foster care and in high school, they cannot account for living expenses just because those are already taken care of being in foster care. So they may not qualify for a lot of ETV. And sometimes it's even a $0 amount. But once they're aged out of foster care, then they can account for other living expenses. But if our youth is in dual credit and they're interested, we still encourage them to apply because we never know their situation and they may have that high need. So if they're taking dual credit in high school, they only need to be taking one class to apply for ETV. For everybody else, ETV can help pay for associate's degree, bachelor's degree, graduate degree programs, any technical vocational training. For those youth, they have to be taking at least 6 semester hours. That's about 2 classes. So it's like going to school part-time. So some of our youth are working part-time and also going to school part-time, and ETV helps pay for their living expenses while they're in school. And here's a difference between the tuition waiver and ETV. Some people get them confused and think that they're the same benefit, but they're 2 separate benefits. And our youth can use both benefits at the same time. So they can be going to school, getting their using their tuition waiver, and then also receiving ETV funds. So for the tuition waiver, again, it's a state law. It can only be used for public state supported colleges, university. All it does is waive tuition and fees. They have it for a lifetime as long as they access it before turning 25, and there's no grade requirement for that. Now for ETV, it is a need-based federal fund. So the federal government basically gave us a formula to calculate their need. We put in some numbers and then it'll calculate how much they qualify for the whole year. ETV can be used for any post-secondary education institution as long as that institution has been accredited and in business for at least 2 years. The youth can qualify for up to $5,000 per school year, and it can be used from 16 years old all the way to the month of their 23rd birthday. To be getting ETV, they do have to be making a SAP, which stands for Satisfactory Academic Progress, and that's based on the school that they are attending. And of course, they have plenty of time to improve those grades to continue getting ETV. I believe they have up to their 8th semester. So even if they're not doing well, we're not going to cut them off from ETV. They have time to pick up their grades. So how do they get ETV? The first thing that they need to do is apply for financial aid. Now, luckily, this is a requirement for most students graduating from high school in the state of Texas. So usually they have already applied for financial aid. The earliest you can apply for financial aid is October 1st. Now, because some grants are limited and given on a first come first serve basis, we always want to encourage our youth to apply as early as they can. That way they're bumped up, you know, on the top of the list, especially them coming from foster care to receive all those grants, all those scholarships. Now, if the student does need assistance in applying for financial aid, we always encourage them to go to a transition center in their area because there will be staff there that will be able to apply financial aid, help them apply for financial aid for them. They want to go with someone who knows how to apply for a student coming from foster care, because it is a little bit of a different application. It's important for them to go, and they can also go to a college financial aid department as well. They don't have to be attending that college. Any college financial aid department will provide assistance for the financial aid application. And then something we want to let our students become aware is that loans, you do have to pay back. Some of the times they're not aware that, loans are things that you have to pay back. They just see the money signs, excuse me, and they accept them. But sometimes they just don't know that you have to pay those back in the future. And also, if they accept any loans, it can affect how much ETV they'll get. So we always tell them, do not accept any loans at all. There are a lot of resources and money for them out there, especially in their situation coming from foster care. There's a lot of help there for them. Okay, so the next thing that they need to do is apply for Texas ETV. Once they've applied for financial aid, the next step would be to apply for ETV. So we have a website, texasetv.com. This is where they'll be applying online. Our applications are straightforward, but if they do have questions or need help, they can always reach out to myself or Drew to help them through the application process. Okay, so one thing about the application, it's important. There is a space for adults information that they would like to put. I believe it'll say case manager on there, and you put their name and the information. Now, this is an important part of the application because whoever they put there will receive the same notifications as the youth. So if the youth puts for example, me, then I would be getting the same emails my youth would be getting. So it's important for them to put someone that can help them through this process and stay in contact with the ETV coordinator who will be processing their application. We do have application deadlines. And this is just for the application, okay? It's not for all the documents. They have plenty of time to turn in their documents after they submit their application. So for the application deadlines for the fall, it would be October 1st. For spring, March 1st. And for the summer semester, it would be July 1st. We always do extensions till the end of that month. So right now, since we're in the spring semester, we are accepting spring applications until March 31st. Now, for our youth who are planning to attend school for for fall 2023 and spring 2024 academic school year, our applications open on May 1st. And it will be the same for every year. So if they're planning to go to the school the following academic school year, the applications every year open for May 1st for the following year.
Hey, Krystal, we have another question real quick. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I have a 1-year-old here that just learned how to get out of her playpen. So it's pretty hectic over here. So I'm going to try to jump in when I can. I had a question that says, how do you locate a transition center? And we'll have a link for that at the end of the presentation that you can access all the transition centers in the state. And there's actually a transition center there run by BCFS in Abilene. Sorry, Krystal. Oh,
no, it's okay. Thank you, Drew. I can't see the chat on my end, so because I have the presentation open. So thank you for that. So some tips for applying for ETV. You only need to submit one application per school year. So if it's their first time, they need to submit an initial application. Every year after that, it would be an update application. Now, sometimes on our website, the update button for some reason doesn't work. So the youth can just submit another initial application and we'll update it on our end as it being an update. Now, the important part is that they need to check off every semester they plan to attend school. We tell our youth, check off as many as you think you'll attend, because if they only check off one semester, they will be penalized. for how much they can get for that semester. So instead of, for example, the whole year is $5,000. So each semester they can qualify for up to $2,500. Now, if they only check off one semester, the most they can qualify for is $1,666.67. And of course, we want them to try to access as much of the $2,500 per semester as much as possible if they plan to attend 2 semesters. So we always encourage them, like, even if you're thinking about it, just, you know, check off the second semester, just to make sure that they can qualify for as much as they can. Now, when it comes to them applying and putting their name, it's important for them to put their full legal name at the time that they're applying. We understand that some of our youth, you know, they go through name changes after some time, but at that time that they're applying, just for them to put their full legal name at that time. It's important for them to fill out the entire application. If they don't understand something, they can always, you know, reach out to me or Drew, and ask us, you know, what something that they don't understand on the application or what they can fill in. Now, one thing is, make sure they click submit. If they don't click submit, then we don't receive that application. So it's important for them to make sure to click submit. Now, once they submit an application, the application will start being processed, and they'll be sent an email on the documents that are needed from them, and also which ETV coordinator will be assigned to them. So once they submit an application, they'll have an ETV coordinator assigned to them that will be processing their entire application, and they're the ones that will be sending the documents to as well. So when it comes to documents, and we'll go over it in a little bit, they can send in screenshots, take a picture with their phone, and just send that document to their ETV coordinator. We always encourage them to save a copy of all their documents, just in case. And then also, whenever they do submit a document or an application, just give our coordinators at least 7 business days to process it. For the whole state of Texas, we only have 4 coordinators processing all the applications for the entire state. So they are pretty busy, but they will for sure get back to the student. Okay, so now we're gonna go over the documents. So we have a general list, and of course, every student is a case-by-case basis. But this is just in general. So the first thing, of course, is we need their application. The next thing, the 2 in red, those are forms that are obtained from DFPS. The first one is the DFPS verification of eligibility. And this is just a form showing that the youth was in foster care. So that's basically what this form is. The next one is the tuition and fee waiver letter. The youth will need to request that from DFPS. We do have information on the regional PAL coordinator, which stands for Preparation for Adult Living. So these 2 forms can be obtained from the PAL coordinator, or if the youth is in contact with a certain caseworker, they can try to request it from them as well. And these 2 only need to be turned in once, and we'll keep it on file. So that's the only one that we need the first time. Now, the rest of the things that we need is the financial aid award letter, their class schedule showing what classes they're taking, and then the budget worksheet and the request of funds and the direct deposit form. The bottom 3 can be found on our website, and this is where kind of our youth get a little bit lost. But of course, me and Drew are always here, and also the ETV coordinator can help them completing those documents as well, but those can be downloaded through our website. The budget worksheet, we'll go over these worksheets in a bit. Now, this is when the student has already applied. So when a student applies for the whole academic school year in the first semester, they're going to need to turn in a lot of these, the these long list of documents. But after that, all they need to turn in for when they transition into the following semester, because what happens is they'll receive, once they turn out their documents, they'll receive their fall semester funds, and then now they need their spring semester funds, right? So what they need to turn in usually would be a new class schedule, a transcript just showing their grades with their GPA, and then an updated financial award letter if needed, and then a request of funds form from that can be found on our website as well. And then once those are turned in, of course, they can contact their ETV coordinator asking like, hey, what forms do you need from me to receive my spring ETV funds? So they don't need to do another application since it's only one per school year. So the first, one of the forms is called the budget worksheet. So this is available on our website. This is kind of where our youth start getting lost, but we're always here to help them, of course. This is not set in stone. It's just basically a plan for what they plan to use for receiving those ETV funds. And it shouldn't include any other money they're receiving, like through scholarships, grants, through any like part-time jobs. They don't put any of that on there. They're just going to put like, hey, I'm going to use ETV funds to pay for this and that. So this is how it looks like. It's broken down into 3 semesters, but they only need to fill in the semesters that they plan to go to school and use ETV funds. And it's not to the penny, it's just kind of like an estimate of what they plan to use the funds for. Now, another form that they're going to use is the request of funds form. So this is basically just a form submitted to us saying, hey, I need this money to pay for housing, right? So if it's for housing, we send the funds directly to their apartment complex or, wherever they're living at. So if it is for housing, they need to submit the first and last page of the lease that they're on. If they're not on a lease and they're living with a relative, a friend, or they have roommates, they just need to submit a renting together contract, which I'll show right now in a little bit. And then if they need funds to go directly to pay for a utility, all we need is a copy of the bill. And then if the funds are going directly to the student, then we just need one form saying that this amount is going straight to the student. Now, one thing to note is that if our youth are 21 and up, the government sees them as able to budget themselves. So all the funds will go directly to them and they can use it, how they need to use it. So if they are 21 and over, we don't need any copies of housing utility bills. We just need one form where all the funds is going directly to the student. So this is an example of the form, how it looks like. In this case, it's for rent. So they just put the name up on the top, as you can see, the leasing office, the address, and then how much, like in this case, it says $1,000. And then they just put their name and contact number. So when we get this form, it's basically saying that we need to send $1,000 to the leasing office to pay for rent for this student. So that's what these forms are used for. Now, when it comes to a renting together contract, say our youth are living with someone, but they're not on the lease, or living with a relative or a friend, they would basically have a renting together contract, and they just fill in the information where they're living, if they're paying any rent to them. If they're not, they can just put 0 on there, and then the dates. And then it's basically just a contract with the person saying like, hey, for the time being that I'm in school, I will be living with you. And this is a legal binding contract. It's just to make sure that our youth has somewhere to live while they are in school. Okay, and then something you need to know for ETV is that it's not considered emergency funds. So when students apply, they need to get their paperwork turned in as soon as possible. If they do need to get those funds as soon as possible, because we are not considered emergency funds. So I've had youth call me like, hey, like I really need the money, but they haven't turned in any paperwork to us. Well, we can't release funds until we have all the paperwork turned in and it's been approved. So just if they do want to receive those funds as soon as possible, they just need to submit their application and get all the documents they need to turn in. The maximum $5,000 for the whole year is not guaranteed. Of course, it's a need-based, so it's a calculation of how much they'll qualify for. And again, if the student only checks off that they're attending one semester, the most that they can get is $1,666.67 for that semester. Excuse me. So when it comes to issues facing current and former foster students, a lot of times, especially if you work directly with them, we all know the obstacles that come with it. A lot of the times, they do have an idea and goals of what they would like to do. Sometimes they just struggle with like, what do I need to do to get there? Or a lot of the times they think like, oh, I don't have money to go to school, things like that. So it's important for us to make them aware of the benefits they do have, and there's a lot of help out there for them. Also, our youth can attend a technical vocational school. I know not everybody wants to attend a traditional four-year college. Just making them aware that there's a lot of different programs that they can do that are much shorter. And also community colleges where they can get, an associate's degree, which takes about 2 years. And then also making them aware that for financial aid, they can receive grants and scholarships, and also just making them aware that loans are things they have to pay back. So we always encourage them to not accept any loans, and just helping them understand how much things cost, tuition fees, school supplies, things like that. And just making them aware like how they can budget themselves in order to get themselves through school. Also, there's a lot of resources in communities as well. One we always make them aware of is findhelp.org. It used to be called auntbertha.com. So with findhelp.org, they can put in their zip code, and then it'll show all the resources like food banks, any assistance they need in that area. So on the website, they can find that. And another program that has came into Texas is called Together We Rise, and it's a rapid response program. Now with this program, the youth cannot self-refer themselves to them, but if you are a professional that can contract with them somehow, you can refer any students. I know recently they gave a lot free laptops to our students and youth that went through this program. So we've been hearing good things about this program. And then also just helping our youth find resources in order to help them balance life, taking care of their emotional, physical health. I know transitioning from high school or into adulthood can be very challenging. So it's just important for them to be able to connect themselves to resources that are in the community, or not being afraid to ask for help when they need it. When it comes to calling their ETV coordinator, we always want to remind our youth, most likely our ETV coordinators won't pick up their phone, but they will return their call within 2 business days as long as they leave a message, okay? So if they do call their coordinator and they don't answer, just leave a message with your name, your number, and then what your question is, or what issue or concerns you have about the ETV process. That way the ETV coordinator can look up an answer, or find the best ways to help the youth when they return the call. So it's important for them to leave a message. A lot of the times the youth will call me like, I can't get in contact. I'm like, did you leave a message? They'll be like, no. And I'm like, you need to leave a message, because they get so many calls and they don't know who's who. So it's important for them to leave a voicemail for them. When it comes to setting up our students up for success, we always encourage them to sign up for a free personal email account. that's the best form of contact that usually our coordinators use with our youth. So it's important for them to have an email that they always have access to. If they use an email that's from high school or from a college and then they graduate or they transfer out, they no longer have access to that email, so we can't get in contact with them through that email. So it's important for them to have an email that they always have access to. Now, our funds only go through direct deposit. So they need to have a checking account under their name. So with the checking account, they can get it from any bank. If they want to use an online bank like Chime, they can, as long as they can provide a routing number and an account number under their name. And here's a little bit of the definitions for foster care liaisons. I know not every high school has a foster care liaison, but if there's anyone there that can help youth with coming from foster care, it's important for them to stay connected to any foster care liaisons on the high school level, and then also on the college level as well. If the youth already knows school that they would like to attend and find out more information on the resources they have there, y'all can reach out to me or Drew. We do have a list of foster care liaisons from different colleges, and we can connect the youth to them already, just to get them a head start. So just them staying connected with the foster care liaison on both the high school and the college level. And then also some universities have something called the foster care alumni group. And this is just a group of students that basically went through the same process. They come from foster care. And so they're a big support for our students who are newly coming in to that school. And a lot of the times they do have like additional help, like, grocery cards, gas cards sometimes. I know there was one where they provided furniture if you're moving into a place for the first time and you don't have any of that. I know some groups also offer that as well. Now, something that our youth may not know is that during those long breaks, which is like Christmas, summer, Thanksgiving, they may not have, a lot of the times they may not have a place to go to during those breaks. So it's important for them to stay in contact with their school, requesting housing assistance during those breaks. I know recently during COVID, the schools sent a lot of the students home, but because our youth coming from foster care, like if they didn't have anywhere to go, basically the school allowed them to stay in the dorms during COVID because of their situation. So it's just important for them to stay in contact with their school and then let them know, like, they need help with temporary housing during those breaks. Another resource is the Supervised Independent Living, or as you know it as SIL. So this is basically for our youth who decide to stay in extended foster care. And it's basically just providing that extra support for them while they are going to school. So usually in these programs, they'll have a case manager that will come in every month and check on them to see if they need help or support with anything. Being in this program, if the university does participate in the SIL program, our youth are able to stay in the dorms and they're paid for. Get meal plans and they're paid for. Things like that. So this is just another resource that they can use while they're in school. Now we're going to go a little bit into the colleges that our youth can attend, or some youth are already attending. There's plenty of colleges throughout the state of Texas, but we kind of just mentioned a few here. The first one is the Texas State Technical Colleges. So there are 2 technical colleges where our youth can use both the tuition and fee waiver and also the ETV benefit as well. So for this one, there are different locations and each location does have a foster care liaison there, and they can connect them for resources. The second technical school is the Lamar Institute of Technology. Now for this one is located in Beaumont, Texas, which is near the Houston area if you're not familiar with it. And there's different programs there like welding, paramedics, things like that. And here they can of course use a tuition fee waiver and also their ETV benefit. And the foster care liaison at that location is Dr. Angela Hill. Another one, of course, is Angelo State University. And the information for the foster care liaison is there as well. They do have a program called Fostering Futures, I believe, for our youth coming from foster care there. Another one is Sul Ross State University. The foster care liaison information is on there as well. And of course, if there's another university you would like to be connected to for the foster care liaison, you can reach out to me and Drew and we can give you that information. We also want to mention the San Antonio area. That's where we're based off of. But of course, we cover the whole state of Texas. Now with our Texas A&M, the foster care liaison there is DeAndre Davila, and they're part of a pilot program in Bexar County, which is called Bexar County Education Fostering Success. So basically, it's just a program that it provides wraparound services for our youth, just to provide that extra support because they do want to make sure they have everything they can to be successful in graduating with the program that they're in. So Texas A&M San Antonio is part of that program. And they also have supervised independent living. So if you have any youth interested, they can participate in that. We also have UTSA as well, and they do have supervised independent living as well. And they are part of the pilot program that we have. And then also Alamo Colleges as well. Alamo Colleges does not have supervised independent living, but they do have a lot of resources for our youth and they're part of the pilot program as well. Now for those students that, really want to attend an Ivy League school, this is just in general, if they do want to. So they passed this thing for tuition that if your family makes less than $70,000, I believe you can actually go to these schools tuition free, so you don't have to pay tuition. And then Stanford, I believe, provides room and board as well. So as long as if they want to attend these schools and get in, they can take their ETV with them. We always encourage them though to take one college class in Texas so they can lock in their tuition and fee waiver benefit. Just in case in the future they decide to continue school, they can go to any school in Texas since they already locked in their tuition fee waiver, they can just continue that education. Now, when you hear us talk about different regions, we just want to mention we go by DFPS regions. So basically, this is the regions we go. You'll hear a lot of, us saying like, oh, region 3, region 4. Like, for example, for Abilene, it's considered region 2. So you'll hear us saying like, oh, okay, region 2. Now, when it comes to transition centers, we mentioned it earlier. This is basically very important for our youth. It's basically a one-stop shop for everything for our youth, and it connects them to resources in the community. So one thing is like POW training. They'll have case management until the age of 21. Housing assistance is there as well, and transportation assistance. Now, if our youth decide not to continue school, but they need help with their job assistance, we always have someone from the Texas Workforce Commission there to help them out through their employment process. And then also if they want to continue their education, there's always an educational specialist there as well. Some transition centers do offer mental health counseling. There's a computer lab. If they need to use a computer for anything, they can stop by there as well. If the transition center doesn't have a kitchen, there's always a food pantry. So our youth is more than welcome to, go there, get something to eat if they need to. And some transition centers, like for ours example, we do have some youth that, they're homeless, but they go there during the day just to hang out, be in a safe space and get something to eat. So transition centers are a safe space for our youth. And then also sometimes there are parenting classes or substance abuse counseling if our youth are seeking that as well. Now, the aftercare benefits that our youth can receive, they can receive transitional living allowance up to $1,000. So they'll get 2 separate checks of $500 each. Of course, like I mentioned, they have case management until the age of 21. They can get aftercare room and board assistance up to $3,000. They can get reimbursed expenses such as like if they pay for a cap and gown, class rings, so they can get reimbursed for that. Of course, they do have medical insurance until the age of 26 years old. They'll always have services from the Texas Workforce Commission until the age of 25. They'll also have access to an educational specialist to the age of 25, and then also the Education Training Voucher program, and also the tuition and fee waiver. So it's important for them to stay connected with the transition center because they will be able to get a lot of their benefits through the transition center and connect them to the appropriate persons to receive those benefits. Now for Region 2, which is considered an Abilene, the transition center is by BCFS Health and Human Services. And so the address and the phone number is there as well. Now, this is information for Drew and I. Feel free to contact us for any information. If the youth wants to contact us directly, they're more than welcome to do so for any questions that they have. Also, like if you have a connection that you think someone would benefit hearing this information, feel free to pass our information along. That way we can schedule something so, we can spread more information about the benefits that our youth have. Now, if the youth decides to go to school in Region 2 in that area, the coordinator there would be Gail Jett. So she would be the one processing that application. Now, for the Region 2 PAL coordinator, this is a coordinator if the youth is trying to get their tuition and fee waiver letter and also their verification of eligibility. They can reach out to this regional PAL coordinator, who is Stacy Lee, and she'll be able to assist the youth with that. For the education specialist for that area, for Region 2, it would be Terry Powdra. So feel free, regarding anything regarding education, you can also reach out to this person as well. Now, if our youth feel like their rights are not being observed, they can contact the foster care ombudsman. This is outside of DFPS. So if the youth is, for example, not getting their sibling visits or, their property has not been returned to them, they can always contact the foster care ombudsman and they'll do an investigation. And this is out there. An outside party of DFPS. So if they feel like their rights are not being observed, they can contact this agency. Again, everything can be found on our website, texasetv.com. We have the application there, the eligibility requirements, the deadlines, and then also any documents that they need to download. So when you go on the web page, on the right side, you'll see like a blue box. Just click on important ETV documents and it'll show the list of documents needed, and they just click on it and download that form. So we use something called Remind. This is an app where we send reminders of the deadlines coming up for our applications. We don't spam. We just usually send a message once a semester saying like, hey, the deadline's coming up for this semester, things like that. And so we have one for our CASA staff. If you would like to join, you can either send a message CASA ETV to 81010, or you can visit remind.com and join the class CASA ETV. So we just send reminders to everyone like, hey, the application deadline's coming up, things like that. We do have one for our students as well, and this is only after they apply. So once they apply for ETV, they're more than welcome to join our Remind group. So that way they can get that reminder every year, every semester of like, hey, don't forget to apply for ETV. So they can join class ETV 23. So they can either text it to 81010 or just go to remind.com and join the class. Now we do have a Facebook page, and on here we post reminders again. We also post any current events going on. We are in contact with a lot of different agencies or community resources. So they will send us flyers and for like basically any resources for our youth, and we'll post them up there. If you yourself have something you would like to share that would benefit our youth as well, feel free to email me or Drew, let us know, and we'll post it on our Facebook page for everyone to see. We do have 2 pages of scholarships. So this is just links to scholarships. If the youth wants to do additional research, they can, look through these websites and apply for ones that they would like to. There are also DFPS college scholarships. So recently, Drew and I learned that not a lot of youth are applying for these, and they're available for them. So one of them is the Freshman Success Fund for Foster Youth. This is for any youth that are first-time freshmen, and each year there'll be 4 one-time grants of $1,000. So the website is down there on the bottom in the red. Just encourage them to apply because these are available and not a lot of them are applying to them. So they're there for them. The other one is the Ed Davis Powell Scholarship. This is for upperclassmen if they are sophomore, junior, or senior as well. And the scholarships are $1,000 per academic year as well. So these are available for them. So just remind them, there are scholarships specifically for them for DFPS. These are our resources. So if you're looking for an education specialist for that area, or the PAL coordinators, also the transition centers. So if our youth is going to a different area and you're looking for a transition center, you can just go on that link and locate all the information for all the transition centers throughout the state of Texas are on there. So you can just go on that website and look for the transition center closest to the youth. And the rest of the here are the rest of the websites as well that have a lot of information for our youth as well. Okay, and now are there any questions?
Krystal, could you clarify really quick, if you have a youth that is at home on a monitored return, but they're over the age of 16, so just say they're 17, they're getting ready to age out, but they are at home on a monitored return, most likely would they still qualify for ETV benefits?
Yes, as long as they're still considered to be in foster care, they should be able to qualify for ETV just because they still technically are in care. They're just being supervised. So they're still considered foster care.
Once the case closes out, they no longer qualify, but as long as their case is open, they should.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Guys, y'all have questions? Now's the time to ask. And while we're looking, Krystal, while we're waiting, I did have one advocate that sent me a message, and she just said, thank goodness some of these things were referred to in the circle of support we had last week, but they flew through them very quickly and it was confusing. This presentation helps a lot. So thank you for helping clarify some things for our volunteers.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, and if any questions come up, I know sometimes it's a lot of information. It is, so it can be easily forgotten. But yeah, just feel free to reach out to us. Even if we've already presented on it, we want to make sure our youth know about these benefits. So if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to me and Drew along the way.
I appreciate that. And the BCFS worker that's on my case on Chimon has been great. So they're wonderful and they're there to help you guys and to guide you. I did want to hit on one thing really quickly is on the direct deposit. That's one of the biggest things we can make sure that our kids are getting set up for is that bank account, because it will be required for the ETV benefits. And so many of our kids don't know how to do that, how to set up a bank account. So definitely make sure that you're advising them, guiding them, and helping them with that. So any questions, you guys, before I stop recording?
On that last slide with the links, and it just could be my computer, I couldn't see the bottom one that had the link for the transition centers. I see transitional living, but I can't get to that link. Will we be able to get that tomorrow in a set
It's
of
in the
slides?
PowerPoint I sent you.
Okay, perfect. Thank
I've
you.
already sent, yeah. Good question. Anybody else? Well, you guys join me in giving a round of applause and high fives to Krystal and Drew. We appreciate you guys so much. They put their emails at the end of that PowerPoint. So if you do have questions or you come up with something later on, don't hesitate to reach out and they will help you guys. Krystal, anything else before you go, or Drew?
No, just y'all will have a copy of the PowerPoint. Just if you can take a 4-question survey whenever you have the chance, regarding our training, if there's any other information you think we should add, things like that. So we would appreciate
that link in the chat box. Can you copy and paste it? I guess they can click on it from the PowerPoint.
Okay, I should be able to. Okay, for some reason it's not letting.
Let me see if I can figure out how to do it.
I don't know if it's because I'm sharing the.
Yeah, maybe when you stop sharing, it might let you do it. Oh, you guys, the QR code's on there, duh.
Okay, it's okay.
Sorry, can you put it back up for a second?
Yes, for sure.
Sorry about that. I was so busy looking at the link, I forgot about the QR code. Yes, so you guys can hover over that and it will open it right up. Please take the time to do that. And we appreciate you so very much, Krystal and Drew. You're always informative and helpful. And this is an area of great confusion for our volunteers. So we appreciate you so very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, thank you guys. Michael will get you guys recorded. If you have any questions, let us know, but this ends our presentation. And